It's 2 o'clock. Welcome to the Tuesday, August 25th, 2020 Glynn County Board of Commissioners Finance Committee meeting. In an effort to adhere to the guidelines set forth by the CDC for the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being held via video teleconference. The public has simultaneous access to the meeting. The meeting will be streamed online for public viewing through the Glynn County Board of Commissioners Facebook and YouTube pages. Commissioners, remember to mute your microphones when you're not speaking. We're going to call the roll, see who's here. Commissioner Booker, I'm here. Commissioner Bronson.
Here.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Here.
Alan Hours.
Here.
Will Worley. Dwani Patel. Is Dwani here? She doesn't have to be here. Matthew Kent.
I'm here.
Okay. Tamara Munson.
I'm here.
Judy. Dunnigan.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Chief Jordan.
Yes, sir, I'm present.
Okay. Catherine here? She doesn't have to be here, no. Lisa, I heard you earlier.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
David West. David here.
David's not here, but this is Deborah. I'm
Okay.
here. I'll cover for him.
All right. We like you better, but don't tell him. Jerry Mullis. All right. Any additional staff? Ms. O'Hara, I saw you earlier.
Yes.
All right. Any additional staff?
Monica Harden.
And Monica. Okay. Anybody else? All right. Okay. Any changes to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt it as presented.
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we adopt the agenda as presented. I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Bronson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
All right, item 2, the minutes from July 28th meeting. Any corrections? If not, I entertain a motion.
I move we approve the minutes from the July 28th Finance Committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from July 28th Finance Committee meeting. We'll call the votes. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Bronson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
Okay. Item 3, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize reimbursement to Banker Real Estate for overpayment on the FY20 accommodation excise tax in the amount of $43,150.40, with funding to be provided by the FY20 accommodation excise tax revenues. Judy?
Yes, sir, Commissioners. Ms. Brooke O'Hare is here to speak regarding that.
Go ahead, Ms. O'Hara.
It was in our particular software that we use for our vacation rentals. Each month we are to close out the revenue that will be taxed and then move on to the next month with a fresh start. If you look at our spreadsheets there, you can clearly see that March was closed out. But however, when I moved in, or March was not closed out. So when we moved into April, you can see the amounts from March and April. And then April was not closed out. So in May, you will see the amounts from March, April, and May accumulating. So in essence, the months were not closed out, and therefore everything kept accumulating. We just went from just a few rentals to about 87. So we were looking at it as if, boy, we're really busy. Well, when it got to June, it just didn't make sense that we were that busy. So that's where, thankfully, we recognized the error. Moving forward in future will not occur again. So we've overpaid. Does that make sense?
Not completely. So you're saying your software caused you to overpay the taxes?
Yes, in the software, when we pay our taxable revenues, we are to close out that month, and you assign a particular check to that month. So for the month of March, the month was not closed out by assigning it a particular check. So the amounts from March moved into our April revenues, and so April was not closed out, having not been assigned a particular check. And then because of that, April was not closed out. So May accumulated March, April, and then May. So all these revenues were adding up, whereas it should be only April revenues, and then that closes out. So then the next month you should only see May revenues, and then the next month you should only see June revenues, but they all kind of combined because I did not close them out. So who normally monitors this? I
mean, it's on automatic and there's not somebody that's monitoring this?
Right. I mean, it's human error. I mean, the computer continues to go until you tell it to close out a month. So like I was saying, we went from just a few vacation rentals to 87. And we should have noticed this, but it wasn't noticed. And moving forward, it will never happen again. We are monitoring it closely now. We are getting used to this new software, and so it was user error is what it was. But we now know what we have done.
So I guess what I'm saying is you don't check it monthly?
We do now. Yes, we do check it monthly. It was user error with this new software.
Now, how did you do it before you had the software? Did you check it monthly before you had the software?
Yes, and we weren't as busy, and I wasn't doing it. Someone else was doing it, and I was new to it. So it's completely user error for 3 months. So
Will, any issues from your department over there?
No, sir. The statute about tax refunds provides that if a person makes a voluntary overpayment, that is the grounds for a refund. As long as finance is satisfied that this was an overpayment, I don't see any legal objections to it.
I assume finance is bless this.
We've reviewed her calculations and we concur with her calculations based on information provided.
Is there like a form that she would submit to amend these her sales figures? I mean, because I'm looking through what she presented and I see where she filled out the forms based on the figures she said that are incorrect. Has she gone? Is there a form that she goes back and makes amendment? similar to in the federal government taxes?
I don't know what has been the practice in the past, but we theoretically recalculated the forms when we calculated her amounts, but we can definitely work with her to file amended returns so that we have the proper amounts documented on record.
Well, the bottom line, I think, is that these nice people just made us a loan. And we probably ought to pay them back.
Yeah, I
And so I'm
don't,
gonna move to recommend the Board of Commissioners authorize reimbursement to Tobacco Real Estate for the overpayment of the FY 20 accommodation excise tax in the amount of $43,150.40, with funding to be provided by the FY 20 accommodation excise tax revenues.
Second.
it's been motioned and seconded that we approve a refund as requested in item 3. We'll take the votes. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
Okay, so here, we're gonna recommend it, so. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
We appreciate the loan.
You're welcome.
Item 4, public safety item. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize staff to issue a purchase order to Next Air in the amount of $35,000 to supply medical grade oxygen for FY 21, with funding to be provided by the FY 21 Emergency Medical Services Fund budget, utilizing single source procurement. Chief Jordan.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Commissioners. This purchase order request supplies us with the medical grade oxygen that we use on our ambulances, both the main tank and the portable tanks. The reason that we're looking at Nexair again is because we're utilizing their bottles. We rent their bottles that we utilize. We know of no other company at this point in time that supplies all of the needs that we have, including the nitrous oxide, other than Nexair.
Commissioners? Any questions? If not, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the Board of Commissioners authorize staff to issue a purchase order to Nexair in the amount of $35,000 to supply medical grade oxygen for FY 21 with funding provided by the FY 21 Emergency Medical Services Fund budget, utilizing single source procurement.
Second.
The motion and seconded that we approve item 4 as presented. Take the vote. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
Okay, item 5, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of a purchase order to Frazier Ltd., Houston, Texas, in the amount of $235,600, utilizing the HGAC buy contract for the purchase of one 2020 Frazier ambulance, with the funding to be provided by the FY 21 Emergency Medical Services EMS Fund. Chief Jordan.
Yes, sir. This request is part of the continuing program to replace our ambulances and bring them up to date with all steel modular bodies. This ambulance was budgeted through the capital. It was budgeted as a package deal. We got special pricing on some other items you will see on the next item that comes forth with equipment. Frazier has proven to be a particularly strong ambulance, and it looks to be a body that we can remount at least twice, if not 3 times. So it's a cost-saving move for us in the long run.
How many more do we need to replace like this? You know?
Memory serves me correctly, we would need to replace 2 more, and that would replace or rebody the entire fleet.
Okay. Commissioners?
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of a purchase order to Fraser Limited, Houston, Texas, in the amount of $235,600, utilizing the HGAC by contract for the purchase of one 2020 Fraser ambulance, with the funding to be provided by the FY21 Emergency Medical Services EMS Fund.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we approve item 5 as presented. We'll call the votes. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
Item 6, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of a purchase order to Stryker Medical Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $78,352.47 for the purchase of one MTS Power Load System, one Power Pro XT cot, and one LifePak-15 monitor defibrillator with accessories, with the funding to be provided by the FY21 Emergency Medical Services Fund, utilizing the Glynn County Single Source Provider Purchasing Exemption. Chief Jordan.
Yes, sir. This is the equipment that was included in the original cost for the ambulance as part of the package deal. It includes the power stretcher that lifts itself, a load system that actually loads the cot into the ambulance, and a replacement monitor defibrillator, or in addition. And those will be coming forth slowly as we are coming to the end of our technological life of some of the equipment. This right here is equipment that will provide the newest of the ambulances with all new equipment.
Chief, I assume we're putting an older ambulance out of commission. Is that correct? I mean, we're replacing an older one. Is that right? And am I understanding
Yes.
that correctly? And so what are we going to do with the older ambulance?
We have been, several county divisions have requested them. Other than that, they go to auction through Public Works. What we do is we're getting to the point now to where we're almost out of ambulances that we will dispose of. The next year, we'll probably request one ambulance and a rebody of a current Fraser. As soon as we're an entire Fraser fleet, it will be probably 15 years before we look at disposing of another ambulance.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of a purchase order to Stryker Medical, Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $78,352.47 for the purchase of one MTS Power Load System, one Power Pro XT cot, and one LifePak-15 monitor defibrillator, with accessories, with the funding to be provided by the FY21 Emergency Medical Services Fund, utilizing the Glynn County Single Source Provider Purchasing Exemption.
Right.
It's been motioned and seconded that we approve item 6 as presented. We'll call the vote.
Commissioners, I'm sorry, this is Will. If I could interject for just a second. The PO mentions that there will be future legal documentation related to this order, and I'd asked the question about when that documentation was going to be forwarded to us, and I was trying to get an answer on that before. I mean, if it gets in here between now and the Board of Commissioners considering it, I think that's fine. No, sir, I'm not advocating that. I guess I'm just trying to find out if we've contacted Stryker to see if they'll tell us what that documentation is and when it's coming.
Sir, I will find out immediately and let you know by this afternoon.
Thank you.
So we're good to go, Will?
Yes, sir.
All right. Been motion and seconded, and we'll move to the vote. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
Okay. Item 7, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the contract with Image Trend, Inc. for billing, ambulance services and software utilizing the professional services exemption, and terminate the contracts with McKeeson and Change Healthcare signed on July 20th, 2017. The software contract with Image Trend signed in 2017, and the contract with Atlas Labs also signed in 2017. Chief Jordan.
Yes, sir. This is a request to change our billing company for EMS. We have utilized Image Trend software as our records management system now for several years. As we moved into the billing, Image Trends did not have a product. Change Healthcare offered us a product. They have done our billing for the past several years. Our issue has been in some of the customer service issues that are stipulated. We've had some difficulty with getting the proper reports. We had difficulty with Medicare billing because of a mistake on one of their personnel. We, at this point in time, have also been notified by the finance company, by the collection agency, that they are not able, and Image Trends apparently would not deal with them. I'm only going through the email of the owner of Bull City Finance, but I did speak with the vice president of Change Healthcare yesterday, and he understands the reasoning that we are moving forward. Image Trends, as I say, has been our software program. They already have the information in their hands. There's no transfer necessary. They are willing to do this at the same amount that we're currently paying, 8.1%. They will upgrade a lot of our technology, which is listed in the report, to bring all of our technology to the current levels, utilizing one connection, one unique connection to the internet, allowing our medical equipment we just purchased, the life packs, to send and record all data to the hospital directly.
Okay.
In the report, it says that we lost the ability to invoice Medicare for approximately 5 months. Did we eventually get that ability back, and were we able to get any? Are we owed any back money?
We did recoup some of that. What the issue is, because of the loss and the delay, Medicare has to be filed within 6 months. This was all during the time, it's about a year into the program. So by the time we recovered our license and got it pushed through the correct way, we had gone over the 6 months on a number of accounts. I do not have a dollar figure. It would appear from what we have seen, it was about 20% during that time period that we were unable to collect.
Mr. Worley, do we not have any recourse at all? Have you had any discussions about this? Is there any recourse the county can have in getting this failure to be invoiced properly to Medicare?
I personally have not had any discussions about that. I don't know if it's been brought up at leadership team or anything like that in the past with Aaron, which I can certainly check with him. But I've not had any discussions about any kind of legal action under the contract.
That has been mentioned at leadership. We also, Mr. Clinton went in depth with McKesson or Change Healthcare on the same issue with our representative. She did a lot of work for us. We've met with Ms. Bragdon, Ms. McClinton, and a lot of others. So they're likely at least aware of it. I know Mr. Clinton is. And it doesn't appear that we have a recourse on it.
Would it be possible, Mr. Worley, for you or the legal department maybe to review what they have and just confirm back that we can't go past the 6 months?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have no other questions. I move the Board of Commissioners approve the contract with Image Trend for billing ambulance services and software utilizing professional services exemption, and terminate the contracts with McKesson Change Healthcare signed on July 20th, 2017, the software contract with Image Trend signed in 2017, and the contract with Atlas Labs also signed in 2017.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve item 7 as presented. We'll call the vote. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Chief Jordan, I'd like to commend your folks at the doors there that take our temperature. They are most pleasant and very cordial and conversive, and they're doing a good job. I know they're got to be miserable. Take that mask off. I'd rather have an oxygen mask on out there battling a fire or something, but they've been most pleasant.
So I'll make certain they're made aware of that. Thank you.
All right, item 8, under budget and grants. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners amend the FY21 library operating budget revenues and expenditures in the amount of $7,239 with the funding provided by the Georgia Public Library Service. Ms. Mullis.
Hey, I'm good, thanks. Yes, this is our regular grant that we get from the state, and thanks to our Georgia legislators, we did not lose any money, and we actually got a little bit more than we did last year. So this money that is the extra bit will go towards books. So.
All right, Commissioner. Now I entertain a motion.
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners amend the FY21 library operating budget revenues and expenditures in the amount of $72.39 with the funding provided by the Georgia Public Library Service.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve item 8 as presented. We'll call the vote. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Item 9, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners accept the Georgia Department of Agriculture grant in the amount of $6,000 and increase the Animal Control Department's FY21 revenue and expenditure budgets by said amount pending county attorney's approval. Judy and Will.
This is Monica. Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is our second grant from the Georgia Department of Agriculture. The $6,000 will be used to do different clinics within the city of Brunswick, primarily because there is no public transportation. So we were trying to alleviate that issue by bringing the services to the city residents. Ms. Hale has done an amazing job just pulling different partners to the program, and really in partnership with the city of Brunswick. The location of the clinics is the property located on Mansfield across the street from the Coca-Cola bottling company. It is $6,000. There is no local match. And then all the surgeries will need to have been completed by September 15th of 2021. The Department of Ag is great to work with. There are a couple of things that Mr. Worley requested that they change, and we'll be working on that between now and September the 3rd.
Okay, Commissioners, I really think this is an excellent idea and commend Ms. Hill and her staff. I really think they have taken us to another level, and I, for one, really appreciate this effort.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners accept the Georgia Department of Agriculture grant in the amount of $6,000 and increase the Animal Control Department FY21 revenue and expenditure budgets by said amount pending county attorney's approval.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we approve item 9 as presented. Will, any concerns? Have you all already?
No major concerns. Honestly, one of the changes we asked for was a typo that they're going to correct. And the other one involves some language in there requiring us to indemnify and hold them harmless. So we'll see what they say about that.
Okay, well, we'll call the votes. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson. Commissioner Brunson.
It looks frozen.
Hey, Bill, you were frozen there for a minute. Can you hear us?
Are y'all having trouble with the audio?
Yeah, you freezing up.
Am I freezing up? Okay.
Yeah. We can
aye.
hear you, Anna. Okay.
Okay.
Quinn.
Aye.
Okay. Item 10, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve modifying the funding source for the LexisNexis CopLogic software for $17,280 from the FY21 Police IT operating budget, fund budget, to the FY21 Police Fund capital budget. Deborah.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is a request asking for approval to correct the funding source for the LexisNexis CopLogic that y'all approved back in June. I made a mistake and put it to operations instead of capital.
Commissioners?
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve modifying the funding source for the LexisNexis CopLogic software for $17,280 from the FY21 Police IT operating fund budget to the FY21 Police Fund capital budget.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve item 10 as presented. Call the vote. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Contracts and procurement, item 11, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve and execute the FY21 contract with the Department of Family and Children Services in the amount of $52,500 with funding to be provided by the FY21 General Fund operating budget. Judy?
Yes, sir. This is just the annual appropriation for the Department of Family and Children Services. We were just late getting the contract back. Ordinarily, this would come through in July.
All right, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve and execute the FY21 contract with the Department of Family and Children's Services in the amount of $52,500 with funding to be provided by the FY General Fund operating budget.
It's been motion seconded to approve item 11 as presented. I'll call the vote. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn?
Aye.
All right. Item 12, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners exercise the first option year 2022 with Bull City Financial with payment to be with the retaining of a percentage of the collected fees. Judy.
Yes, sir. Bull City Financial is the collection company that the fire department or the EMS uses for their ambulance service for their past due bills. And this is just the first option year that we are wanting to renew it for.
Judy, I call myself reading that whole contract. What percentage do they get? Do they retain when they collect this money for us?
I think it's 25%.
Will, is that in that thing anywhere in there that I just miss it, or seems like it ought to be part of the contract that
No,
they own a state.
You're correct, sir. The document that was uploaded with your materials is not the entire contract. The only thing that was uploaded was a business associate agreement, which is something that we have to sign under HIPAA so that we can share medical information.
Okay.
I can send you a copy of the actual contract, but this is just a portion of the whole contract.
I don't need it. I just was surprised that they're, the percentage they get wasn't part of what I had. The other thing,
Okay.
I'm confused.
Actually, the percentage is 20%, and it's at the, it comes after, it's on page like 10. The contract follows the business associates agreement. And it's on page 10, article number 3. It's 20% if they do it without litigation, 30% if they do it with litigation.
In past due is defined as what? I mean, is this after 60 days, 90, 120, 180? How do we determine something's past due?
You know, I'm sorry, Commissioner O'Quinn, I cannot answer that because this was a contract that was negotiated before I had anything to do, before I was even with the county. I can find that out.
Is this for the fire, the ambulance fee collections? Is that what this is for? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is basically turned over from the billing company once they get to the end of the point where they don't believe they can collect anymore. I could be wrong, but I believe with McKesson, it was after 6 months. Of course, we're switching to a new billing company now, so I'm not sure what their end of collections or trying to collect would be, but I think with our previous one, it was after 6 months.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I entertain a motion.
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners exercise the first option year 2022 with Bull City Financial with payment to be with the retaining of a percentage of the collected fees.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we approve item 12 as presented. Call the votes. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
All right, item 13, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the Blythe Island Regional Park Campground Host Agreement with Otis Ted Hartley. Ms. Reganis.
Hey, good afternoon, Commissioners. Several months ago, the Board of Commissioners approved 2 campground host agreements for Blythe Island Regional Park. One of the hosts left after about 2 weeks, decided that the duties were not for her and were not a good fit for her. And the other one left in mid-July because he and his family were relocating to another area. So we were contacted by Mr. Hartley, who has worked as a campground host with us for several years. He left back in February to tend to some personal matters, but he was interested in coming back with us. And so we would like your approval to move forward with a new year-long host agreement with Mr. Hartley. He'd done a great job. And just help complement the duties that the staff perform at that park. The agreement has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney, so we would appreciate your approval to enter into this agreement.
Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve Blythe Island Regional Park Campground Host Agreement with Mr. Otis Ted Hartley.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we approve item 13 as presented. I'll call the vote. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
Item 14, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the officials agreement with Gold Coast Officials Association to provide officiating services for Glynn County Recreation and Parks Department youth football games for the 2020 fall season in the amount not to exceed $15,000 with funding to be provided by the FY 2021 operating budget. Ms. Gorgain.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we're asking for your approval to enter into an agreement for the Gold Coast Association. This would be the 3rd season that we've worked with this group, and they've done a great job for us. The terms of the agreement are pretty much the same as they have been in the past, where they would be paid booking fees equal to 15% of the total game fees for football. And this would be for all of the football on St. Simons and the mainland. And it would be effective with the start of the season and would carry through to the end of 2020.
Lisa, what are the numbers? I know there was effort to try to boost that. So what are the numbers looking like?
Well, we will be down about 4 football teams from the 2019 season, which is actually not too horrible considering the COVID situation and the concerns that some parents we feel may have putting their kids into the program. But we are moving forward with practices starting next week, and then the games would start at the end of September. So we are down from the past, but we've made some efforts. We thought to, and had it not been, I think, for some COVID concerns, I feel like we would have at least matched last year's totals if not exceeded.
What's the procedures we use for precautionary?
We will be, all of the coaches and volunteers will be provided with infrared thermometers, and they will be required to do temperature checks prior to any practices or games. The usual precautions that we're stating, that if someone feels ill, and this is not just players and parents, but also spectators and coaches, that if anyone feels sick, is exhibiting symptoms, that they, or if they've been in close contact with someone, that they do not participate. So, and our staff, we are not having bleachers at the fields this season, so we're encouraging parents to, stand on the sidelines or bring their chairs and socially distance themselves. Also, our personnel who will be at the games supervising and scorekeeping will be doing frequent restroom sanitizing during the games. So pre-game and practice health screenings for the players. Pretty much the same types of things that we've been doing as employees since this outbreak, since the pandemic started.
But would the coaches be using a log?
They will not be using a log, no, sir. It would be I would guess it would be very similar to what the gentlemen at the Pate building are doing, where they check temperatures, and if they see, if they get a reading over 100.4, then they would, talk to that parent and tell that child that he or she does not need to participate and needs to, seek medical attention perhaps.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions?
Lisa, you may be down, but you're in better shape than the NCAA.
Folks are excited.
Yeah. I approve the official agreement with Gold Coast Official Association to provide officiating service for the Glynn County Rec and Parks Department youth football games for 2020 fall season in an amount not to exceed $15,000 with funding to be divided by FY 2021 recreation operating budget.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we approve item 14 as presented. I'll call the vote. Commissioner Booker, aye. Commissioner Brunson.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Quinn.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any items that should be off consent? Y'all see?
I don't see any.
I don't see anything.
All right. Thank you, guys. Staff.
Sure.
There you go.
Have a good one.
Uh-huh.